Oh, wow. Oh. Wow. Here I am. Can you hear me? And it's going to... Oh, wow. Go off again. Is it gonna go off again? Which it just did. Wow. Okay. Now does it seem to be working? Here I am. Can you hear me? And it's going to... Oh, wow. Go off again. That was very weird. Is it gonna go off again? Which it just did. Okay. Now does it seem to be working? Here I am. Can you hear me? That was very weird. Go off again. Which it just did. Okay. Now does it seem to be working? Here I am. Can you hear me? That was very weird. Go off again. Oh. Can you hear me? I have to know if you can hear me. I have to know because, well, okay, all right. I have no clue what's going on. No clue. So tired of having no clue about so much every single day. No clue. So I'm just going to start and hoping that I can be heard, I can be seen. Right now, it's a whole different setup for me, so... They're going to come down hard on crypto. They're going to come down on very hard on crypto as the digital ID gets rolled out more and more. Politicians and regulators keep shouting that crypto is synonymous with fraud. We don't have to know why they're wrong. We know why they're wrong. They're wrong because the fraud is in the banks. The fraud is in the Fed. And they want to come down on crypto because that's outside the banks and the Fed. Right? Right. We all know that. I just want to make sure that you are seeing what I am talking about. Can somebody just... How about a... What is it? 5x5? This is so frustrating. Seeing and hearing. Okay, good. Thank you, Taylor News. And Biden tells the press to hush up, announces he just signed another $200 million from the Department of Defense for Ukraine. Okay? Americans, I think you need to get angry and motivated and start doing something.
Thank you. Before the press, hey, whoa, hush up a second, okay? I got one more thing to say. I've just signed another $200 million drawdown for the Department of Defense for Ukraine, and that'll be coming quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Exactly right, Forever Flowers. This is money laundering to this punk. He's a punk kid. And what? He can never dress in a suit? He always has to wear these army fatigues to, what, make people think that he is the commander-in-chief in Ukraine? What kind of idiocy are we living? Ford's test for EV adoption fails. Car maker slashes production plans for the F-150 electric. Nobody wants them. They're unreliable. They're hugely expensive. But our government continues to push them on the American consumer. Chaos, Christmas, travel. Every holiday now, we hear about the chaos. Travel chaos. Which I find very interesting because an awful lot of people do not have money. They don't have money to fill up their cars with gas. They don't have money to buy plane tickets. But then I think to myself, maybe they're overextending themselves because they realize that this might be the last time they get to see their family and friends. Could be. And did you see this? The Satanic Temple display inside Iowa State Capitol. But the Christmas tree is there, and that's okay. Well, I actually wrote, I would argue the Christmas tree has nothing to do with religion. For that matter, neither does Christmas, though man morphed it into religion, and there it stands. But neither have anything to do with Jesus Christ. All right, but let's watch this 1 minute and 50-second clip.
In the Rotunda. It's a holiday display put up by the Satanic Temple. KCCI's Bo Bowman went to the State House today to find out more about it.
The supporters of this group say if there can be a Christmas tree here in the Capitol, then they can display this put on by the Iowa Satanic Temple.
We're going to really relish the opportunity to be represented in a public forum. We don't have a church on every street corner.
Lucian Greaves, co-founder of the Satanic Temple, says this satanic display is a symbol for their right of religious freedom. He says if you don't like it, don't look at it.
My feeling is that if people don't like our displays in public forums, they don't have to engage with them. They don't have to view them.
It's a very dark, evil force. And I truly hope people know how to battle that.
Shelley Flockhart from Dallas Center says she was shocked to see it at the Capitol.
Okay, come on in.
Flockhart organized a prayer group on Wednesday around the Christmas tree in the center of the Rotunda to oppose the satanic display near the stairwell. She calls it dark and evil and says Christians should spiritually fight against it.
One, I hope people realize spiritual warfare is real, that there are evil, satanic forces that are trying to infiltrate our state.
I'm told the altar here will be on display at the State House for 14 days. At the State House, Bo Bowman, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
Well, you bring in one religion, you're going to have all these religions. But I'd like to understand how it is that these people who are members of the Satanic Temple say they don't believe in Satan. So why is your temple satanic? Why? I'd like to understand that. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Our country is flippin' nuts. I will link below to this article, The Pagan Origin and History of the Christmas Tree. And Christmas as well. It is in the chat. Interesting article. So, what else do I have? Active warfare. China experts warns cyber time bombs are here. Get ready for that cyber polygon. Oh, it's going to be worse than the pandemic.
Is a Chinese-America relations policy expert, and Lee joins me now. Before we get into this, can I just ask, if China can hit us, surely we can hit them, can't we?
Absolutely. We have extensive cyber capabilities, and so we definitely have the means to attack China in the way that they are attacking us. Do we have the will to do it? We'll see. But in terms of capabilities, absolutely.
Do we ever show them what we can do? A little demonstration just to say, hey, don't get out of hand? Do we ever do that?
You know, I don't think we announce it, and we're probably smart not to, but I would imagine that we are and have in the past given them a little taste of their own medicine. And if we're not, we sure as heck need to be doing so, especially now after the reports that we've been hearing in terms of what they're doing to us.
Let me just continue on this theme. Is an attack on a power plant in America an act of war by China?
Well, it's certainly an act of warfare. I think that what they're doing, what China's doing, is they're setting these kind of cyber time bombs in our critical infrastructure, power plants, utilities, that they're looking to set off in whenever they please, really, but certainly in the event of a conflict with Taiwan. And the effect of these time bombs would be to incapacitate our infrastructure. And I think if we found physical bombs in our physical infrastructure, we would certainly call that an act of war. And I think that this level of seriousness needs to come here as well.
Is hacking into our infrastructure a preparation for war?
I think that it is a preparation for war. I think what China did in the past was more commercial type espionage. They were stealing our company.
You see all of these men. You see all Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer. I can't remember this guy's name. They're so aged. They need to get the hell out of there. I mean, oh, God. Evil, evil, evil.
Companies, technology, intellectual property, et cetera. But now they've certainly escalated to a point where they are going after our defense systems, our critical infrastructure. And again, they're setting these cyber time bombs, lying in wait, and I think in preparation for potential conflict, certainly with us in Taiwan.
Lee, that sounds real ominous to me. Thanks for joining.
Sounds real ominous to me. More fear, fear, fear. Well, I will tell you. What's coming? It ain't something that we should take lightly. I'm not saying that everybody should be sitting in a corner shaking in the boots, but what is coming? For those of us who are totally alone, especially those of us who have had their life emptied out and the only life that they have left is cyber world, yeah. I can't say that I have any feeling of fear, or I'm not somebody who gets scared about things, but is it concerning to me? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have no video tonight. I am... everything is just so screwed up. So let's just take a look at this. Bronx, New York. Bronx, New York. Had a 6-story building partially collapse. Really?
Pero a la bodega no le pasa nada. Se le quina la bodega. Sí, pero no le pasa nada.
Those should be in jail because they're the problem. They're the ones that knew about this. Those inspectors, they knew about this. You gotta pay attention.
More people displaced. Okay, great. So, what's going on? We know that extremely low frequencies can do what we're looking at, but is that what we're looking at? Is that the cause? Who knows? But it's very strange that we're having buildings just collapse. And before I forget, again, I just want to say, Sherry Hughes and Marty Lauderdale, it's very nice to see you guys. Very nice indeed. And to all those that I failed to say hello to, hello. But thank you, Sherry and Marty. Much appreciated seeing you. So, Ukraine's largest mobile network hit by major cyber attack, and Ukraine blames Russia for it. What else is going on? How about Rumble hit with unprecedented cyber attack after posting J6 security cam footage, and more censorship. Oh boy, the purges are ongoing. Out of nowhere, the following people appeared on Spaces, an Audible show on the app X, Twitter. They're all speaking live with each other. It was Alex Jones and Elon Musk and Andrew Tate and Vivek Ramaswamy and General Michael Flynn and Robert Kennedy Jr. and David Stockman listening in real time. I saw 120,000 people listening and millions total over 2 hours plus the archive. Okay, I don't think anybody should be censored, even if they're controlled op, even if they're, not liked by an awful lot of people. I don't think censorship is a good thing. Oh, but you censor, Carol. I censor people who are attacking other people. I censor people who are leaving racist comments, anti-Semitic comments, and those kinds of comments. All right, and that has been what I've done for 13 years, and I will continue to do it. So, if we weren't lazy, anyway, this is the reason why I included this article. So, over the weekend, and this is Jeffrey Tucker who wrote the article. So when he says I'm referring to Jeffrey Tucker. I dealt with an unpleasant canceling myself. Brownstone Institute has a monthly supper club with speakers from many disciplines and points of view. Next month, for the supper club next month, Tiffany Justice, one of the founders of Moms for Liberty, was invited. Well, what happened? Buffering. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. No audio, frozen screen. Alright, so we use the service called Eventbrite to take our tickets. Over the weekend, the company sent me the following note. We have determined that your event is not permitted on the Eventbrite marketplace as it violates our community guidelines and terms of service, with which all users agree to comply. Specifically, we do not allow content or events that, through on or off platform activity, discriminate, harass, disparage, threaten, incite violence against, or otherwise target individuals, and yada yada yada. Wow, just like that. The service that claims to be for everyone has decided that our group cannot hear what Tiffany Justice has to say, founder of Moms for Liberty. It's all crazy because ours is a very diverse supper club. I've never once polled people on their politics, so as far as I know, it's not even a topic of conversation. We are mostly interested in issues, science, civic life, community health, and so on. I invited Tiffany just to hear her perspective. People are free to agree or disagree. That's how freedom of association works. But to Eventbrite, They seem to think we are all automatons who accept whatever we are told. We are about to listen to forbidden thoughts, and so their platform had to intervene to protect us, as if we are children. It's also insulting and ridiculous. It's also not good for their business, one might suppose. So they did get another server, or they actually overnight scrambled and implemented their own native system of taking tickets so that we never have to rely on such third-party services again. And yeah, the purge continues. We have ample proof that most of these platforms are no longer independent actors. They never were. But now it's obvious they are funded and controlled by third parties that respond to government priorities. I don't have proof regarding Eventbrite, but we've seen the same behavior from a dozen or more industry-dominant platforms, so we can safely assume the same here. Yeah. Wow. Moms for Liberty, you became too powerful. You're not allowed. They shut you down all over, and they claim that you're terrorists. Canadian Human Rights Commission labels Christmas celebration discrimination grounded in colonialism. Really? Wow. Discrimination grounded in colonialism. It's a pagan holiday. All right. Yeah, well, this is what is taking place. Cancel everything. This, when that woman spoke in Iowa about the spiritual war, you don't have to be religious to understand there is a spiritual war, and that war is between evil and good. And you hanging out on the fence, you're on the side of evil. It is remarkable what is taking place in our world. Everything has become so obvious, and it's scary how obvious it is, with people just going about their lives, pursuing their right to be happy. Look at this. Ireland, where proof is no longer required to punish you for questioning the narrative. Read again. Proof? Hostility? Here, slideshow. And what is it, the Garda? Garda in Ireland? We do not need to prove hatred. No legal definition of hostility. Dictionary definition is used and can include unfriendliness. Wow, unfriendliness. Pick you up for being unfriendly. Contempt. Ill will. Prejudice. Antagonism. Malice. I don't know what is behind his head. Do you see how scary this is? Sorry, for free countries turning into tyrannies? I would hope that some of you had some fear in your belly. What in the world has happened to our system of education? We're so... look, man, our kids can't really read well. It turns out that they aren't very good at math either, but those running our system of education continue to tell us that they are doing a wonderful job. Yay! Applause to the teachers, to the school board members, to the administrators. Yay! Good job. If they just had more funding, they insist our test scores would go way up. And we know. We know now, for sure, that is complete and utter BS. Of course, That is complete and utter nonsense. Our system of public education was a failure back when I was in school many years ago, and it is much worse now. At this point, only about 1/3 of all U.S. students in the 4th, 8th, and 12th grade are proficient. Did you hear that? 1/3 of all U.S. students in the 4th, 8th, and 12th grades are proficient. National Assessment of Educational Progress. Oh boy. Approximately 2/3 of all students in the 4th, 8th, and 12th grades are not proficient in reading. Only about 1/3 are, which means 2/3 are not. Do we have a problem? So, we have these kids coming out of our fabulous public school system. They can't read, they can't do math. They can be activists, that's for sure. But we also have a whole lot of people coming into the country who can't even speak English. Are we in trouble? 40% of our students are essentially non-readers. Most are taught through phonics, a system of instruction based on sounding out letters that is mandated in at least 32 states and the District of Columbia. The phonics method of converting each letter to a particular sound is totally unsuited to the English language. One example. The most common letter in print has 11 different pronunciations. End, eat, vein, I. So E is the letter. Okay. We are headed for a future where approximately 40% of the entire population cannot even function in society. Oh boy, are we in trouble. And some areas of the country are even worse. In Chicago, only about 1/6 of all 3rd graders are able to read at grade level. Did you hear that? 1/6 of all 3rd graders. They tax the living daylights out of us to fund these public schools. Property taxes keep going up and up and up, and that money, a percentage of it goes where? To the schools. Perhaps you should now stop paying taxes? Oh, but I can't do that. Well, you can't do that in a tyranny when a whole lot of people are scared and won't take any action. So yeah, national disgrace. Here we are. They're not good at math either. U.S. students just established another all-time record low on an international exam. All-time low in math. American 15-year-olds had a 13-point plunge out of 1,000 on the Program for International Student Assessment exam, which was given last year to 620,000 students in 81 countries worldwide. USA, 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 yay for our public schools. We are hitting levels that our students have never hit before, and you know what? It is a friggin' crime that we have done this to these children. Even though us students can't read, write, or do math very well, they just keep getting moved through the system year after year. As long as you show up, you're going to pass. It's the participation trophy society that nobody is ever supposed to feel bad about failing or feel bad about themselves, or sure as hell nobody is ever going to challenge them to inspire them to reach their potential. Oh man, we are in such deep trouble. So yeah, a whole lot are just, they expect success will be handed to them. Our system of education is theoretically supposed to be preparing our kids to face the real world. And that's not happening. So now we have vast hordes of young people that cannot deal with the real world. They are completely and utterly unprepared to deal with the extreme uncertain future that our society is now facing. We don't do our kids any favors by coddling them. They need to be challenged, and unfortunately our absolutely pathetic system of education is not challenging them at all. Parents, for sure those who have homeschooled, my hat is tipped for all of you, but a whole lot of people don't have that opportunity. So, yeah, you may be working 3 jobs, but you had children, and you have to educate them. And still work. If there were parents, and how about adults in your community who would volunteer a day or half a day? But we don't have community. Former BBC chief who covered up Jimmy Savile's pedophilia scandal is now the CEO of CNN. Makes perfect sense. Thompson, well, first name Mark. Thompson became embroiled in the pedophilia scandal after the state broadcaster nixed a segment about an investigation into Savile, a long-time BBC presenter, an accused pedophile, and ain't that great. Savile, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing the name right, who died in 2011, was accused of sexually abusing hundreds of children during his decades-long career, most of which was spent at the BBC, where he presented a slew of popular programs. There was a lot of evidence. Nix it, we don't want that. We've got a whole lot in the news industry who are being charged with pedophilia. German mayor slams Der Spiegel's call for mainstream parties to cut off funding for another party for the sake of democracy. Really? That sounds like a good plan. Democracy? German news outlet Der Spiegel. Is it still the #1 news publication? Sorry, I just had to put a light on so I can see. All right. The political editor penned an article calling for the Alternative for Germany, which is the AfD party, to have public funding it is entitled to cut off by other parties in order to strengthen democracy. Wow. How do you follow that logic? It's happening in all Western countries. And do we need to rise? Yes. Rise. Yes. Here we go. Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State today the United States is announcing a new package of weapons and equipment under previous drawdowns to support the people of Ukraine as they defend their country and their freedom against Russia's aggression. Yep. This is what we've been pretty much since the inception. How many years did we have no war? I think about 25 throughout our American experience. To support the people of Ukraine. Yes. Because Russia is encroaching on Ukraine's border. Lisbeth Medina, 16-year-old high school cheerleader from Texas, found dead in her apartment. Police announced today that the perpetrator is an illegal alien. And this is the immediate release from the police. Okay. It's happening.
So I haven't really spoke too much about the situation that's going on with the immigrants from Venezuela coming to the United States, but it's finally hitting, my backyard. So I spoke to my mom. She lives in San Antonio, Texas. And the first thing she tells me is, Sharon, you need to see what's happening here. And this is coming from a Univision loving, liberal-minded, Democrat-minded, Trump-hating Mexican who she's also, she was born in Mexico, but she's here legally. But she was saying that there's a street named San Pedro in San Antonio, and she said it's a nightmare. She said it literally looks like an invasion. There's people just sleeping on the streets. There's trash. There's feces. They're just urinating out in the open. And listen, we're not against people coming to United States for the right intentions. But these people right here, not all of them, but the majority of them, they're a whole different breed. They have a different mindset than, I'm sorry, but a Mexican would never. And the craziest part is these people are going to be the first ones to get work visas, where these people, most of them, the majority of them come and they clearly, boldly say that they ain't trying to work. They're trying to have the government support them. They're not trying to work. But yet we have other immigrants that have been waiting, who are paying taxes, that have been waiting for work visas, and they haven't been granted. And they really do have the right intentions and want to work. What is going on? I mean, look in New York, they're trashing everywhere they go. They're trashing the place. They're making it a living nightmare. Why are they getting top priority over people who are coming here and actually doing good to the society, working and, not littering like them?
Why, oh why?
New wave of migrants is once again pushing U.S. Border Patrol to the breaking point. Our cameras were there this morning as scores of migrants arrived at Eagle Pass, Texas. Many more still arriving at this hour. And that comes as new numbers for December confirm this surge. Border Patrol sources telling News Nation they've had more than 96,000 migrant encounters already this month. That's about 15,000 more than at this point last month. Correspondent Allie Bradley is live in Eagle Pass. So Allie, I'm curious, what's the scene like there right now?
Yeah, hey, Kelly. So right now you can see right behind me, this is just a fraction of the hundreds of migrants who have poured into Eagle Pass illegally here this morning. These individuals are waiting right now to be transported. But let me show you this way. This is where they start. So they cross the river here, and just over that ridge is where they were gathering. There were hundreds of them, over 400 at one point, in one group over there, standing, waiting to be processed and transported here. So this is also where we've seen several ambulances arrive to take care of some of the sick or injured among the masses. This happens all of the time. Every place we've been, we see people who need medical help, who need medical attention as soon as they get to the United States. Now, when it comes to the Texas National Guard and the Department of Public Safety, they've put up concertina wire all the way along that river. You'll remember when we were here last time in Eagle Pass, and we saw groups gathering on the other side of that wire, and then they had to walk a mile or two before they were actually received by Border Patrol. This area has kind of mitigated that. They've walked right up and self-surrendered right on that ridge, and now they're being transported up here. But what we're being told is that they're being re-diverted back down to where the bridge is. So we're going to be having more on that coming up in the next hour. But despite the efforts, thousands of migrants continue to pour into Texas, continue to pour across our southern border in order to reach U.S. soil. So sources telling News Nation that only local processing facilities that hold up to 1,000 migrants, there's over 4,000 in that soft-sided facility, which is called Firefly, one of those areas that's just been maxed out for months, if not years, you guys. Now, in just one day alone last week, we saw over 3,000 migrants cross illegally here into Eagle Pass. Now, agents are increasingly finding unaccompanied minors, too, who are either abandoned by human smugglers along the border, or they're arriving with migrant groups in larger groups. Now, the child that you can see here, you can see there's a note on their shirt. That person, that was a point of contact for that child, for a person in the United States. That's happening more and more often, where the child comes over here and is alone, and the parent is already in the interior of the United States. We reported that down in Lukeville, Arizona as well. Now, those that we're seeing these staggering numbers right now, you reported those numbers. We've seen over 96,000 people already apprehended for the month of December. That all comes as Mexico is also halting repatriations. That means they're not sending people back to their countries of origin right now because of funding issues. They talked about budgetary problems, so they've stopped actually repatriating people. Now, in the memo that we were able to obtain, it says that it shouldn't have a big impact on illegal immigration. It's hard to try to figure out how it wouldn't have an impact, though, right? I did reach out to CBP. They directed me to reach out to the Mexican government. Now, we do want to bring you this update here this afternoon as well. This is an update on a man that we met down in Lukeville, Arizona, which is kind of the other hotbed for illegal immigration. We linked up with a man named Usama on Thursday afternoon. Now, Us reached back out to me just days later because he is already living in New York City. That was his destination of choice. He's already there. But he reached out to me telling me that he's having some issues working legally because he doesn't have a social security number and he doesn't have a driver's license. And he also told me that he needs to find a place to live, but he can't work right now. And things are so expensive in New York City. When we sat down with him in the dirt down in Lukeville, Arizona, he told me that he would find a job. You can work in Morocco, you can work here in the United States, and it's proving to be quite an issue there for Us. So when it comes to these individuals that are behind me, what's going to happen, you can see them with those like little Mylar blankets here because it is a little bit chilly out here this afternoon. Now, these individuals, the ones that we've talked to, we have El Salvador, we have Peru, we also have Venezuela, which is a vast majority of these individuals. They're going to be transported to the soft-sided facility, that Firefly facility, for that processing. So right here, they're going to get initial screening. They're going to have their picture taken on one of the handheld devices that Border Patrol has. That's going to flag them for any immigration infractions. Then when they go to the processing center, they're going to go through more rigorous screening, DNA, fingerprints, and also for that facial recognition too.
And I will say that that's not happening. That is not happening. Okay. And I've posted on how they're not being vetted and they're just being let through. And DNA, the children, they stopped doing a DNA analysis on the children, and it's almost 100,000 came through in December. Those are the ones that Border Patrol has encountered. What about the gotaways? More and more gotaways are getting away. Republican senators unswayed as Zelensky pleads case on Capitol Hill. Give me my money, give me my money. If we lose, Putin wins. So here we have Republicans now. Oh, I keep thinking I have the video. It's a joke. This has been a crisis for decades. Republicans now are screaming about the border. Now? Oh my God. Eric Schmidt, Republican, Missouri senator. He was unmoved by Zelensky. He said, after senators heard Zelensky's appeal, it is striking to me that we're in this place in this last week here, and we're hearing from the president of Ukraine again, but we've yet to hear from our own president about the border, our border. Okay, well, this is a huge national security issue, national security crisis, the border being left open, and I will say the Republicans are right smack in it with the Democrats. We are being subjected to a chaos coming like we've never, ever seen before.
Good afternoon. I'm with a woman, a patriot here in San Antonio, Texas. Her name is Ione. Hello, Ione. What would you like to testify with me here at the Illegal Human Trafficking Center?
Of constant internet problems.
Alarmed at the growing number of people that are processed through this place, that are roaming the streets
Really?
miles from here. I have no idea who these people are in our community.
Right.
What are their intentions in the community? I've seen a lot of illegal activity going on. People getting in cars.
Bunch of background,
Kids?
bunch of illegals leaving the facility now.
Yeah, breaking all kind of state laws, but that's apparently allowed. I've seen people miles from here trying to do work and earn money so they can fly.
Illegally?
Yeah,
So
illegally.
So they can buy a ticket for an airline ticket to get into the country.
A group total. So they were
Wow,
out
say
trying
that
to,
again.
for 5 individuals to fly to New York, it was going to cost a total of $350. So I'm also concerned about the chaos at the airport that this has created. It makes it harder for us citizens to travel.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know who these people are, what their intentions are, and
No, they
it's
haven't
very
been vetted.
concerning. Yeah, this whole place is trashed.
Right.
The area is trashed. They don't even know how to cross the street legally.
Jaywalking.
There's no additional police presence on the street here, and I'm really concerned about it. I'm unhappy with our tax dollars being. I heard a very interesting statistic on the way here. Our current district attorney has dismissed 46% more cases than our previous district attorney.
I heard that.
So
Joe
that's,
Gonzalez.
Joe Gonzalez.
George Soros paid.
George Soros paid. They
Yeah.
don't care about the crime in this city, and I'm really sad about that.
How about the governor? What do you think? How do you think he's doing?
He's MIA, missing in action. Yeah,
He's always $1 late
yeah.
and a day.
So now
daily.
Via Bus wants to spend millions of dollars to redo San Pedro and add bus lines, but it's not for the citizens because the citizens are not using it. So
Gotcha.
we're paying for all this, and I'm not happy about that.
And you shouldn't be. And you shouldn't be. And I agree, Awakened Sleeper Hernando. I like him very, very much. I will put the link in the chat for anybody that wants to follow him on Twitter, because he's posting an awful lot on a real crisis. Unmarked jet found next to hidden migrant center. San Antonio. Hernando again.
It's here landed, and it's a big jet, and it has no tail sign, and it's very uncommon to have that here. But with this breaking information about there being a illegal migrant center here on San Antonio International Airport, we just don't know exactly where they're housing them. But this is a very suspect issue. We'll bring you more information. Here at San Antonio International, while we're waiting for different things, most people don't know that a lot of the air flight here in San Antonio is repair work. So we have a lot of international flights that are used to coming here already. what's interesting about this plane over here is that that plane does not have a tail number like every plane is required to have. So we're trying to figure out where that plane's destined to, where it's bound for, because we don't have any training planes over here, and if that's one of the jets that they're using to transport people and do it in a clandestine manner. Again, this is...
And no doubt it is. You know, if the migrants don't need required ID to get on a plane, why does the plane need required ID? So this is was a Zero Hedge article. Shocking video reveals Democrats stuffed nearly 3,000 illegals into Chicago warehouse. Here.
Cold for Chicago. It's in the 30s, but this isn't even cold for Chicago. The lows are going to be in the 20s, but you know, it gets way colder than that. And this is just the beginning of what's coming. So you have some churches like these guys that just want to help. He literally, that pastor gave the shoes off of his feet to somebody. You got kids out here with they're not equipped, you know, coming from Venezuela, coming from Central America, where you're used to tropical conditions, and all of a sudden you show up in the Northeast and it is freezing. It's tough, but the problem is you've got no end in sight, and you've got homeless people. You've got thousands of homeless people in Chicago already. You've got thousands of people in poverty already, and now you're inviting more in to this situation. And I just got confirmation that this facility here, they said, has 2,700 people in it. 2,700 people from the building down there all the way down here. All of these old warehouses are all full now, all the way down to this side here. 2,700 people.
Especially in the cities. You could be walking past any migrant shelter and not even know it. And look at this. Lukeville, Arizona. This is December 7th, so I'll spare you this, but here in New York City this weekend, seeing the illegal migrant crisis in person is absolutely alarming. They're literally given thousands of dollars by taxpayers to just run amok through the city. And all those scooters bought and paid for by New Yorkers to just let the migrants drive around the city. And here, it's cold. It's even cold in Arizona. And a whole lot of these migrants are literally on the streets. Do you think they're going to be pissed? Oh, yeah, they will be. Here. Texas happening now. More than 400 people are waiting to be transported by Border Patrol here in Eagle Pass. Agents tell me they have already moved about 400 people out this morning. The vast majority tell me they are from Venezuela. Well, wasn't it noted that Venezuela was opening up their prisons and sending an awful lot of their prisoners right on up to the open border in the United States? anybody who could possibly believe that all of these military-age men are coming from, 126 countries around the world, countries that, U.S. colonialism, stealing their resources, killing their innocents. Do you really think that they're coming here for the American dream? They're coming here to seek asylum? All of these men, 90% or more are military-aged men. And we just heard, who is it, Dick Durbin, Democrat senator from Illinois, saying that we should allow these migrants into the military. Oh, how convenient. How convenient. God bless your country. Lukeville, Arizona, just yesterday.
The migrants are marching in Lukeville, Arizona.
¿Dónde van los Estados Unidos?
Georgia. This walk is just the next part on the journey to their final destination. Just as it seems the last of the migrants has passed me, more come around the corner, walking forward, but not sure what their next steps really are.
What are you doing in New York? Actually, not sure.
At the border wall where they've walked from, all is quiet. This smoldering piece of bark is a reminder that all those migrants just spent a very cold night in the desert.
And isn't it interesting that these migrants are allowed to set all of these fires because it is very cold. But what about those flying embers? And Arizona is very dry.
Here, trash is the new tumbleweed. As it blows around, dogs and birds are there to pick up the remaining food scraps. After waiting at the wall all night, the 3.5-mile walk in the morning is exhausting for many of the migrants.
Es incierto. Aquí es más tener fe y suerte.
You have to have faith and luck to cross the border and come prepared for everything.
Having faith a country they've never been to will protect them.
God bless your country.
Reporting in Lukeville, Adam Klepp, KGUN.
God bless your country. Well, that's actually appropriate, because we sure do need some blessing. This was yesterday, Eagle Pass. That's a lot of people. Eagle Pass is Texas, Lukeville, Arizona. They're getting, oh man, a whole lot. And Black America is about to rise up.
These tens of thousands of people, 20 buses a day, 1,000 more per day. Why would they be doing this? And what's your message?
The only reason that I can see that they would be doing this is to replace us. And we say Trump 2024 because Trump is the only one who's going to do something about this and partner with all of America. This is where all of America has got to come together and put a stop to this. We have to send these people back where they come from, or this is going to explode violently. It's going to explode on multiple fronts. And the mayor and this governor doesn't care. And since they don't care, then we must go red. We must link up with all of America, and we care, and we have to do something about it. We're coming for every elected official that didn't step up, and all those that supported this mass, wipe out of our communities. We're coming for you. By the time Trump gets ready to run in November, Chicago is going to look like a sea of red. When that Democratic National Convention get here, you're going to see so many red T-shirts that you're going to think you're in Texas.
Enough is enough. We just can't give it away to foreign nationals. No other country's going to allow us to come in and do the same thing that's happening here.
You have Americans.
The savior. Okay. You know, I saw it, and is it this? No. Could it be this? No. Wow. I hope I have it up. Oh, man, I don't. Shoot. Okay, well. So, there's a lot of talk. You know, it's, a lot of talk about... Excuse me, I just yawned. I've been having a bad toothache for days now. I finally got a dentist to go to tomorrow, so I apologize. That's why I don't have video on tonight, because I look like crap. But that video, man, it was all about all of the talking heads, the pundits on CNN, MSNBC, etc., talking about, oh, well, if Trump comes into office, you know, that's it. We're going to be a tyrannical country, and he's going to declare martial law on the people. And they're talking this now. Okay, Trump comes into office. We have this explosion going on now of all of these illegal migrants. They cause violent chaos, and then it comes true. Perfect playbook. Perfect. I mean, but I'm going to play this out because it was very interesting, very easy to understand, how from the start we were pretty friggin' evil, and it's built on evil. The infrastructure, the buildings. Oh, and it parallels the Vatican.
As I've written before and publicly stated in interviews, the vast majority of people, when looking at Washington, D.C. and at the Vatican, they never comprehend how those cities constitute one of the greatest open conspiracies of all time. There, reproduced in all of their glory and right before the world's eyes, is an ancient talisman diagram. It's based on the history and cult of Isis, Osiris, and Horus, including the magical utilities meant to generate the deity's return. The primeval concept, especially that of sacred domes facing obelisks, this is something that was designed in antiquity for the express purpose of regeneration, resurrection, and apotheosis, for deity incarnation from the underworld to the earth's surface through union of respective figures. The dome, the ancient structural representation of the womb of Isis, and the obelisk, the ancient representation of the erect male phallus of Osiris. That layout, as modeled in antiquity, exists today on the grandest scale at the heart of the capital of the most important government, most powerful government on earth, the United States, as well as in the heart of the most politically influential church on earth, the Vatican. Now, given this fact and the pattern provided by the Apostle Paul and the Apocalypse of John, the book of Revelation, that the end times would culminate in a marriage between political, that is Antichrist, and religious, that is false prophet, authorities at the return of Osiris Apollo, it really does behoove open-minded researchers to carefully consider these prophecies in stone, as it defines the spiritual energy that's knowingly or unknowingly being invoked at both locations, with potential ramifications for the year 2025 and beyond. The U.S. Capitol has been called the Mirror Vatican due to the strikingly similar layout and design of its primary buildings and streets. Now, that's no accident. In fact, America's forefathers first named the capital city Rome. But the parallelism between Washington and the Vatican is most clearly illustrated by the Capitol building and dome facing the obelisk known as the Washington Monument, and at St. Peter's Square Basilica in the Vatican by a similar dome facing a familiar obelisk, both of which were, according to their own official records, fashioned after the Roman Pantheon, the circular domed rotunda dedicated to all pagan gods. Now, this layout, a domed temple facing an obelisk, is an ancient alchemical blueprint that holds significant esoteric meaning. For those who may not know, the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. is historically based on a pagan Masonic temple theme. Thomas Jefferson, who shepherded the anti-Christian Roman Pantheon design, wrote to the Capitol's architect Benjamin Latrobe, defining it as, quote, the first temple dedicated to embellishing with Athenian taste the course of a nation looking far beyond the range of Athenian destinies, end quote. The Athenian Empire was, of course, first known as Ossyria, the kingdom of Osiris. In 1833, Massachusetts Representative Rufus Coyote agreed, writing, quote, we have built no national temples but the Capitol, end quote. Now, to understand what these statements may soon mean for the future of the world, one needs to comprehend how these apparati, the dome and the obelisk facing it, facilitate important archaic and modern protocols for invigorating prophetic supernatural alchemy. In ancient times, the obelisk represented the god Osiris's missing male organ, which Isis was not able to find after her husband brother was slain and chopped into 14 pieces by his evil brother Set. The story involves a detailed account of the envious brother and 72, that's an important number, conspirators tricking Osiris into climbing inside of a box, which Set quickly locked and threw into the Nile. Osiris drowned, and his body floated down the Nile River where it snagged on the limbs of a tamarisk tree. In Byblos, Isis recovered his body from the riverbank and took it into her care, but in her absence, Seth stole the body again, and this time chopped it into 14 pieces, which he threw back into the Nile. Isis searched the riverbank until she recovered every piece except for the genitals, which had been swallowed by a fish. Isis recombined the 13 pieces of Osiris' corpse and replaced the missing organ with a magic facsimile, an obelisk, which she used to impregnate herself during the very first raising of Osiris ceremony, in which she called forth the seed of the dead god from the underworld up through the magic device, thus giving rise to Osiris again in the person of his son, Horus. Now, this legendary ritual for reincarnating Osiris formed the core of Egyptian cosmology, as well as the Rosicrucian Masonic dying and rising myths, and was fantastically venerated on the most imposing scale throughout all of Egypt by towering obelisks representing the phallus of Osiris and domes representing the pregnant belly of Isis, including at Karnak, where the upright obelisks were vitalized or stimulated from the energy of the masturbatory sun god Ra shining down upon them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. A spiritual war has nothing to do with religion. Everything to do with evil versus good. And these people who believe this, wow, just deranged, man. DISA launches cloud-based electronic warfare planning tool. Do you think they're just launching it now? Really? No. The Defense Information Systems Agency is rolling out software it says is critical to preparing and executing electronic warfare operations across the U.S. military, across the U.S. The Cloud-Based Electromagnetic Battle Management Joint Tool, or EMBMJ, collates multiple streams of data into a simplified shared interface for commanders. The first iteration is aimed at improved situational awareness and coordination across the services. Future upgrades will bolt on additional applications. Command and control applies to both maneuver, offensive actions, and defensive actions, how you array your forces, how you guide and direct them to execute missions to meet the intent. And we want to do that within the electromagnetic spectrum domain. It's operating. I want to thank Razor Queen for sending this to me. They're using it against American citizens. The Department of Defense is again prioritizing electronic warfare and the manipulation of the spectrum, a precious resource, as it digs out of the greater Middle East to confront the global ambitions of Russia and China. Yeah. Investment in sophisticated electronic warfare fell off in the years following the Cold War. Really? I beg to differ. No. I've posted an awful lot on our electronic warfare. And yeah. Well, believe that. Believe the horse shit. That boy is just, oof, circulating with just, it's overwhelming. In just 8 weeks, Israel killed 86 journalists in Gaza. This is the highest toll of journalists killed during a war in modern history. All of these journalists. Wow. So, if you've not heard this, what is this? Oh, I will post the link. Yes, Netanyahu can be arrested. Genocide in Gaza. Excuse me. I've been having also these, I don't have allergies, but I sure do have the symptoms. And all of the spraying that took place yesterday, I asked a neighbor if they were feeling any kind of, allergy symptoms, and she was like surprised. Yes. My eyes were so itchy today. I have a scratchy throat. I'm so tired of all of the toxic, this toxic life that we are living. Okay, so he goes, this is a human rights attorney, and he's going through, stating very clearly all of the evidence that is needed to prove genocide, to prove that Netanyahu is a war criminal. But will anything happen? No. No. This is Glenn Greenwald's tweet. 6 leaders of different aid groups who have worked in every recent major war zone and humanitarian crisis say this is nothing that compares, there's nothing that compares to Gaza in terms of the sheer level of civilian suffering and destruction to civil society. Please read. New York Times. New York Times. All right, so we have an awful lot of news, even CNN, New York Times. They are, and we're going to get we are really the hatred coming from other peoples around the world, from other countries, it's becoming more and more clear every day. And, you know, forget about what, you know, this nose, I don't know, I don't understand nose rings, okay. But Israel is losing support every day by the fault of nobody but themselves. Okay, I just want to say, as I've said before several times, Jews, Israelis, please, you've got to stop your Zionist government, because the world is turning against you, and you will pay the price big time. Big time. I know people who live in Israel. I have a long-term subscriber who lives in Israel, and somehow you gotta get your government and the IDF to stop this. And Americans get the United States to stop it.
Enough is enough. I just watched a video of a little girl about the same exact age as my daughter splayed out on a dirty hospital floor while doctors tried to save her life but couldn't, and she took her last breaths. I watched her mother grieve over her body, trying to lift her little head and give her a kiss. If you are a parent and you do not see your children in every single one of those kids, I can't help you. And that is why I don't waste a single fucking moment arguing, debating, giving civil debate to the people who are supporting this. Why? Because at this point, I hate you. At this point, the Israel is irredeemable. And at this point, I'm ready to spend every single waking moment of my fucking life to make sure that Palestine is free. Enough is enough.
Yeah. All right, so did you hear this from our fabulous president today?
You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist, and I'm a Zionist. And by the way, 35 years ago I said, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist, and I'm a Zionist. And by the way, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. So I've taken all my children when they turned 14 years of age, my 3 children who lived and my 5 grandchildren. When they're 14 years old, I put them on a plane, I take them to Dachau because I want them to see. I want them to spend the day there and see. You can't pretend you don't know. Silence is complicity. Most of you know someone directly or indirectly, a family, a friend, is stolen from you, or wounded, traumatized, or called up in the reserves in this last attack in Israel. As I said after the attack, my commitment to the safety of the Jewish people and security of Israel and its right to exist is independent. As an independent Jewish state is unshakable. Folks, were there no Israel, there wouldn't be a Jew in the world who was safe. Were there no Israel?
You know, look. All right. Your Zionist government is making you very unsafe all over the world. All over the world. This guy is as evil as Netanyahu is. So, this Zionism does not, or anti-Zionism does not equate to anti-Semitism at all. They are two separate things. And here, UN General Assembly vote immediate ceasefire.
Well, let's just bring you the latest news from the United Nations General Assembly, which has, in the last minute or so, voted to demand an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The votes were as follows: 153 voted in favour, 10 against, and there were 23 abstentions in that. You might remember that the Security Council, 15 members of the Security Council, have previously voted on this, and the US voted against, the UK abstained. So the UN demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war after more than 3/4 of the 193-member General Assembly backed the move, which had been vetoed by the US in the Security Council last week. A non-binding vote, but it comes after comments from Joe Biden, privately speaking to donors earlier this evening, suggesting that Benjamin Netanyahu must change tack and that the indiscriminate bombing in Gaza was prompting Israel to lose international support. Biden going on to describe the Israeli Prime Minister's coalition government as the most conservative government in Israel's history. It doesn't want a two-state solution. He said Netanyahu has a tough decision to make. I think he has to change. This government in Israel is making it very difficult for him to move. So some distance there, if I can put it that way, with Joe Biden this evening speaking about Mr. Netanyahu.
Okay, so, yeah, a lot of countries have voted for a ceasefire immediate.
Thank you very much, Brother Sidi Muhammad, the chair of the OIC. As we told you last week, we will keep you informed and we will keep meeting with you, and we are doing that. After last Friday, when we had an unprecedented number of co-sponsors to the draft resolution from outside the Council, 103 countries, unfortunately, that draft was defeated by casting a veto, in spite of the fact that 13 voted in favor. Immediately after that, we had consultations among the groups co-sponsoring this effort, and decided to send a letter to the President of the General Assembly from the chair of the Arab group and the chair of the OIC, requesting the resumption of the 10th emergency session. And we are very grateful that the President of the General Assembly cooperated with us very quickly during the weekend and with his staff, and circulated, as you know, a letter to the membership of the United Nations during the weekend, indicating that he will be convening resuming the 10th emergency session Tuesday afternoon today. We also uploaded the draft resolution, which I am sure that you are now have seen it.
So the Arab nations are, well, take a look at this. Algerian parliament unanimously votes to support Palestine militarily. The Algerian parliament officially authorized the president of the country to go to war with Israel by a 100% vote. Algerians, for sure, understand the colonialism, the attack from the colonizers, and Algeria to go to war with Israel. The Houthis redirect ship sailing to Israel. Yemen's Houthis have forced a ship bound for Israel to change direction a day after they declared that they would be targeting all vessels bound for Israel in the Red Sea. Okay, and, well, where is it? Oh, don't tell me I clicked off it. Man, I did. Alright, there was another article about, or maybe, is it? Yes, it is. Houthis rebels hit Norwegian flag tanker with anti-ship cruise missile at key maritime choke point Houthi military spokesperson said the tanker named Strinda was targeted because it was headed to an Israeli terminal, and the crew ignored all warnings. Strinda's owner, however, said the vessel was bound for the Suez Canal and then on to Italy with a cargo containing vegetable oil and biofuels, and that's coming from a Norwegian, and frankly, all of our Western folk, I can't believe any of them anymore. But could this portend the U.S. finally finishing off Yemen? After all, Norway, NATO member, founding member of NATO. U.S.-made munitions used in illegal white phosphorus attack on Lebanon. So, we've got attacks going on in Syria. We've got attacks going on in Lebanon. We've got the Algerian military ready to go to war with Israel. Yemen, well, a couple of nights ago showed there were an awful lot of Yemenis, military-aged men, trying to get through a border to fight along with the Palestinians, along with Hamas, I guess. Israel used U.S.-supplied white phosphorus in October attack in southern Lebanon, injuring 9 civilians, and Amnesty said it should be investigated as a war crime. Well, where does that go? Nothing ever happens. Do you remember Rachel Corrie? You remember 2003? An American purposely crushed by an Israeli bulldozer when she tried to stop them from demolishing Palestinian homes. Remember? I remember. I remember. I'm going to link below to the Gray Zones live. And they were still live right when I was trying to go live. And they're talking about how many Israelis were killed by the IDF that on October 7th, apparently trying to save them.
Israeli captive who actually complains that they were shot at by a helicopter on their way into Gaza, being taken into Gaza, confirming that Israeli Apache helicopters killed many people around the Nova Electronic Music Festival in what one Israeli officer referred to as a mass Hannibal, a mass attempted killing of captives. We were sitting in the tunnels and we were terribly afraid that not Hamas but Israel would kill us. And then they would say, Hamas killed you. So what is their strategy for getting the captives released? I don't know. They tried a commando operation to get an Israeli soldier out. They discovered his location, and 2 soldiers, Israeli soldiers, I believe, were killed in that operation. Communications gear was taken, and the soldier himself was killed. So they totally failed. And they don't want to negotiate. What is the strategy here? What is the political objective beyond ethnic cleansing and genocide? I don't see one. And the U.S. just keeps shipping more weapons, but Israel keeps losing more tanks and more soldiers in a very close-knit society, a small society that can't handle casualties the same way that other societies can. Why? Because it's a settler colonial society. So many people have European style lives. They want to go back to their Netflix and chill with their girlfriends. They is gone. But Hamas doesn't want to necessarily come back and govern. Why would they have one of their biggest mistakes may have been actually governing the Gaza Strip. What they may want is for Israel to have to control it directly in order to lift the mask on occupation which will just continue to discredit Israel in the eyes of the world. Imagine if Israel had to govern the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, and there was no Palestinian Authority. The crisis for Israel would just grow by the day.
Very good talk by Aaron and Max. So I'm going to put the link in again. And there are a lot of, well, Max is a Jew, Aaron's a Jew, and so is Katie Halper, who posted this video today. I'll put the link in. It's only 15 minutes, and it's good talk with a Palestinian,
at the electronic intifada.
An American Palestinian American.
Israel is on its colonial deathbed. And you talk about unfathomable cruelty that Israel perpetuates, and you talk about state terrorism. Can you talk to us a little bit about this state terrorism?
I mean, from its inception, I mean, this is what, they've been genociding us since 1947. There was no social media back then and no videos that could be taken. But frankly, a lot of us are watching this, and especially like some of the elders are saying, this is what happened to us. This is what they did to us in our village and so. And this is, it's kind of, they're reliving it. And this is what it was like. I think this is what it was like in this country against Indigenous Americans. We're watching a moment in history that represents previous genocides that were not televised. Israel is it's a terrorist state. It practices terrorism on an industrial scale. Their terrorism is systematic. It is daily. It pervades every aspect of life. Going from your house to your work, you are passing through this apparatus of terrorism where you really have no control over your life, and you don't know if you're going to die from one moment to the next, or if you're going to get maimed or shot, or if it's a settler that's going to come after you, or one of their attack dogs, or a soldier, or somebody's going to come and tear your house down, or if these fuckers are going to knock your door down in the middle of the night and drag your children out. This happens on the daily. And it's just this slow, horrific reality that they have created for us. So yes, absolutely, it's a terrorist state. But the thing about that is, that is completely unsustainable. And I think Hamas is teaching them that. You cannot live by your sword in a region where you are surrounded by hundreds of millions of Arabs and Muslims who see what you're doing and are just hating you because of what you're doing. People who have invited you repeatedly to integrate into the region, to become a normal society, to stop destroying the indigenous people in Palestine, live as equals and not as their lords, and integrate into the region with full economic freedom and movement and whatnot. But the problem is, this is the colonial arrogance. It's nothing new. It's just a very old script of people who believe that they are inherently better, more worthy than the people who live where they want to live. It's unthinkable for them to live with us as equals. It's unimaginable. And from our part, it is unimaginable that we will continue to live under their boot. And this is where Hamas comes in. I reject the idea that they are a terrorist organization. In fact, they have shown far greater morality, far greater dignity and humanity than Israel has at any moment in its existence. I mean, you just look at the way they have treated the hostages versus how Israel has treated Palestinian hostages. Of course, Israel's freaking out about it because the first thing they did was to, take all of these freed hostages into, sort of a debriefing situation because they didn't want the same thing to happen as did with the first woman who was released, the 85-year-old. But, you know, she was just effusive in her and talking so kindly about Hamas, and they didn't want that kind of a thing to happen again. I mean, and on the other hand, Israel regularly beats and tortures Palestinians. And recently, several of them have been tortured to death. The stories we are hearing coming out of the Palestinians who were released, they're bone chilling. Like what they're doing to Palestinians in their prisons is horrifying.
I don't know if you saw this, Susan, but a released Palestinian prisoner says in Arabic that Israel held them in the cold without electricity, sprayed us with pepper spray, and left us to die. She never mentioned Hamas or a world like it, yet BBC translated it to, "No one helped us, only Hamas cared. We love them very much."
Yeah.
I'm going to put the link in again. And, you know, what is happening there is really just horrendous. And here, again, these are the Israelis who were hostages or in their kibbutz, and they're talking about how it was the Israelis that were shooting at them and killing them.
4 אחרי צהריים, פתאום ג'יפים מתייצבים לנו על הכביש, והבנו שהצבא סוף סוף הגיע.
And you have to read the subtitles down here.
לא עוברות 5 או 10 דקות מהרגע שהם מגיעים, והתחיל מטח יריות, אגרוף, כולנו השתטחנו על הרצפה.
בשלב הזה לי ברור שהתפקיד שלנו הוא שאנחנו חומה אנושית בין הכוחות שלנו שמגיעים ובינם. עדי ואני מתכווצים ונכנסים למצב של כפיות, ושאני מאחוריו מחבקת אותו.
כולנו התחלנו לרוץ, כולל המחבלים. כולנו הסתתרנו. שקבים על הרצפה, ביריות, בום 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 בום, כדורים נכנסים לבית בכל דרך אפשרי. ופתאום מרגמה, לא יודעת, משהו כבד, לא עשה בום בכל הבית.
אני שומעת את הילדים, הצילו! הצילו, בבקשה, הצילו! לא אשכח בחיים את הצעקות של הילדים. איך שהם זועקים לעזרה, ומתחים, שוב מתחים.
כוחות הימ"מ יורים 2 טילי לאו לכיוון הבית.
שוב מתחים, ועדי מנסה להרים את הראש, ואני אומרת, מורידה לו. ככה, מורידה לו את הראש, לא מדברים, אי אפשר לדבר, ואז פתאום עדי אומר לי, הדס, זאב כבר לא איתנו. אנחנו שוכבים על הצד, ואני מסתכלת דרך הכתף, אז אני אומרת לו, גם פסי לא איתנו.
הטנק במקום יורה 2 פגזים, אחד לרצפה, השני לגג הבית.
פתאום בום נוראי, ואני לא מצליחה להזיז את הרגליים, ואני רואה והידיים שלי שמוטות, אני לא מצליחה להזיז כבר לא מחבקת את דושי, ואני אומרת לו, דושי, אני חושבת שנפגעתי. ובשלב הזה אני אומרת לו עוד פעם שאני אוהבת אותו. היה לי ברור שיש פה טנק. זה היה ברור לי לגמרי. אל תשאלי אותי איך, אני לא יודעת. ואז היה הבום השני. אני מרגישה שנפגעתי. ואני מרגישה שזורם עליי הרבה דם. ואני מסתכלת, מפנה את הראש כדי לראות מה קרה לי בדיוק. ואז אני רואה חור כזה בעורק הראשי של עדי. ואני לוקחת את האגודל שלי, זאת היד, לוקחת את האגודל שלי ועושה לו חוסם עורקים, כי מה אני עוד יכולה לעשות? עוד רגע זז, וכבר לא זז, אבל אני ככה שוכבת, עד שאני מבינה שאני בתוך שלולית של דם, ואין כבר למה לעשות חוסם, ואני פשוט חוזרת לחבק אותו ושוכבת עם הפרצוף, עם הכל בתוך שלולית ענקית של דם. ואני זוכרת שאני שומעת עוד ירייה אחת מתוך הבית, ואני לא שומעת כלום כבר, ומחכה לכדור שלי.
Many of those Israelis are calling for an inquiry. Yeah. The tanks. Hamas does not have tanks. Israel posted videos of them destroying humanitarian aid for Gaza.
שני של חנוכה, שכונת סג'איה, מפעל של ממתקים שמחלקים לילדים כשעושים פיגועים. אנחנו מדליקים את האור נגד המקום החשוך הזה ושורפים אותו עד שלא יישאר פה זכר לכל המקום הזה. הרגע מצאנו פיר ענק ממש קרוב לכאן מעבר לפינה, פיר שמשמש לוגיסטית כל הפירים הנוראים שיש פה באזור.
أنا الطفلة روز من دار خضر. أنا من قطاع غزة المحاصرة. أنا شو ذنبي أعيش هيك حياة حرب؟ كل الناس بتعيش ما عدا الناس اللي بغزة. شو ذنبهم؟ يعني بلد الأجانب أحسن من المسلمين؟ وش معنى يعني؟ إحنا عرب بدنا نعيش. ليش كل الأطفال بيعيشوا ما عدا أطفال غزة؟ انتوا بتعيشوا أطفالكم زي أطفال أي طفل ما عدا أطفال غزة. ليش؟ إحنا شو ذنبنا؟ احكوا لنا يا ناس، احكوا لنا إحنا إيش ذنبنا؟ وشو ذنب الأطفال الصغار يموتوا؟ شو ذنب دور الناس تنقصف؟ إحنا كنا في المدرسة وقصفوا عندها وأمي تصاوبت، صحيت لقيت على وجهها دم. أو لقيت أخويا إيده محروقة من الشظايا وأنا كان وقع علي الإزاز. شو ذنبنا؟ كل العالم عاشت ما عدا غزة. ليش؟ احكوا لنا. يعني إحنا مش بشر إحنا نعيش زي أي بلد. شو ذنبنا؟ احكوا لنا بس. أنا بدي أعرف إيش ذنبنا، بس احكوا لنا. هاي اللي بعقلي اللي بدي أعرفه أنا. ليش يعني؟ إحنا دايما بنعيش حياة يعني كيف؟ مش عارف كيف بدي أوصف لكم إياها.
So, coming to an end, I just want to remind everybody that this is not a religious war. This is not about the Jews and the Israelis being evil and the Jerry. Though there's an awful lot. And a whole lot of them were Christian. So, please don't go there. Please don't go there. Because if you do, then you're just part of the evil. Oh boy. I wish we didn't have to live this. But it's happening. All of you be safe. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, Marty. I'm so sorry about Ruger. But it's nice to see you back. Sherry, glad you're feeling well enough to to show up and moderate. Cynthia Johnston, I did see you, and thank you for contributing to the moderation, or the moderators, and to all of you. Yeah, Awakened Sleeper, I definitely need it pulled tomorrow. So yeah, be a force of good. Live honestly, speak honestly. Help those in need. And develop yourself as a mature, trustworthy individual. Absolutely necessary. Be a power of example. Do what you can to bring back community, because you're going to need it. And on that note, I say to all of you, good night and good luck. Ciao, guys. Oh, I don't know how to put it on. How do I get out of here? How weird. This is a whole new way of going live. I don't even know how I did it. For those of you who came in late, for some reason, I'll actually show you what was happening. The happenings in the psych world. It's here. So I could open up everything on YouTube on my channel, everything, but I kept getting I could go to videos, I could go to everything, I could watch videos, you know. Now I'm not getting that ad blocker message, but eventually it would just go to what was the message I was getting? Can't even remember, but you'll see it in a second. My studio page, and trying to get on live. It was just not a happening thing. So it's circling and circling and circling and not going anywhere and not going anywhere for a while, and then I get my fabulous, oh, this site can't be reached. Really? Okay. It's still circling, not moving anywhere. Ah, this site can't be reached. Okay, well, thank you. So, I don't even know what I did to finally go live, but it worked, and well, I guess I'll just mute the microphone, let you guys say goodbye to one another, and then I'll shut it down in a few minutes. Bye, guys.